We have been filling in the details related to places and efforts of articulation since considering Tulyasya Prayatnam Savarnam, and have already considered the places and internal efforts of articulation, which are all we need technically for, or in fact, for Savarnahood. But we've also said that there are times in the grammar when, in order to determine the correct substitute of one letter for another, we have to go beyond these criteria because there's a stalemate with the places and internal efforts. So then we have to turn to the 11 external efforts of articulation. Last time I said there were 12. It just sometimes feels that way. There's 11. And these are the Bahya Prayatnaha, and the first is Vivaraha, or open. Now, these English equivalents are just approximate. They're just to give a little bit of an orientation. Samvaraha, closed. Shvasaha, rough. Nadaha, smooth. Goshaha, soft or voiced. Agoshaha, hard or unvoiced. Alpapranaha, unaspirated, or in fact, lightly aspirated. Mahapranaha, heavily, strongly aspirated. Udataha, anudataha, svaritaha. These are terms with which we're familiar, and we will define formally shortly, as in uchayarudataha, nichayaranudataha, samaharaha svaritaha, tasyadita udatamardaraswam. Now, the devil is in the details of how different sounds are connected to these efforts of articulation. Now, it has been mentioned, and I don't know any more than what's in the commentary, that these forms are related, at least in part, to other Vedangas, including the Pratisakya. In particular, there's a term we will touch on called yama, which refers to the doubling of a consonant if one consonant is followed by the nasal of that varga. That's called yama. The duplicated consonant is. You'll see how that comes into play. But for the most part, these terms will be in terms of pratyahara. So the first one is kai, and that's a pratyahara. So you might want to dig out your copy of the Akshara Samamnaya and have it present and review it, as we ought to be doing anyway every day, to help this be clear. But in the commentary, these are called kai, but they are referred to as the first two. So I have put those out there. So ka, cha, cha, ta, 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 pa, pa. Then the next grouping are hush, also a pratyahara, but these are referred to as the others, which in fact they are. So ga, ga, nga, ja, ja, nya, da, na, da, na, pa, 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 ba, ba, ma. Yerlava, ha. I hope I did that right. Anyway, they're the voiced and the nasals of each varga, along with Yerlava and ha. So now we proceed to the groupings. Okay, actually, there's one or two more terms. There's a yugmaha, the odds. So these are, again, it's a mix. These relate to the vargas, and a yugmaha are the odd-numbered letters. So 1, 3, and 5 of each varga, as in ka, ga, nga. So the first grouping that yields the application of these external efforts concerns achaha, or the vowels, kai, that we described above, gayamag, which is the duplicated kai, shal, which is pratyahara, and jigvamaliya and upadmaniya. All of these are, sorry, I've been trying to work around my new little Anatolia shepherd puppy, but it's going to drive me nuts, so I'm just going to keep going. All of these are vivaraha, shvasaha, and agoshaha. Vivaraha, shvasaha, agoshaha. The next grouping is related to hush. So hush, namaha, yamaha, which again are the reduplicated consonants of hush when they are directly followed by the nasal of their varga. And also anuswaraha. So here we have samvaraha, nadaha, and goshaha. So you may have noticed that when we looked at the original terms, they are pairs of opposites for the most part. So there's vivaraha, samvaraha, shvasaha, and nadaha, goshaha, agoshaha, alpapranaha, mahapranaha. Then, in a sense, also uditaha, anuditaha, and then svaritaha. So these first two categories of usage in terms of the application of the bahya prayatnaha are essentially mirror images of each other. So the first concerns the kai, as well as ach, as well as the vowels and the sibilants, along with visarga, shell, which is a pratyahara. So those related to kai and the others are vivaraha, shvasaha, agoshaha, whereas the ones related to the others, hush, are anuswaraha, are shvas, samvaraha, nadaha, and goshaha. Then, in addition to that, or distinct from that, are yan, yerlava, and the yugmaha, the odds, meaning 1, 3, and 5 of each varga, ka, ga, nga, and so on. These are all alpapranaha. That means lightly aspirated. Whereas shal, sheshasa, ha, and the second and fourth of each varga, such as ka, ga, are mahapranaha. So this is the outline of bahya prayatnaha, and when push comes to shove and we need to enjoin it, which we will. I'm going to give an example of this in the next or the following video, just to prove that it actually exists. What we end up doing is, looking at the letters that are in contention as substitutes, which is the only time I know of using this. And then we look and see which groups they're in. And so the substitute, which is the most in common with the one being substituted, is the one that wins the prize. Sorry for the barking, but there you go. So again, this is important for us to attend to and be aware of, because even though infrequent, it is part of the grammar. And indeed, another one of my free for nothing, whatever observations, a lot of the sutras that I'm particularly fond of are exactly for this, on account of this, that the grammar is intended to account for everything. So there are numerous sutras which may not just refer to one word, but to one usage of the word. Sarangaf Pashinoho, and so on. So, okay, that's it for now. Thanks.